A very good evening to all the participants and my fellow product enthusiasts. Thank you for tuning into today's discussion. While we begin, please post your questions and comments in the chat, and we shall try to take up as many possible in the session. Okay, hope you guys make the most of it. Allow me to welcome our guest for today in the AMS session, Mr. Indraneel Fuke. As the founder of Simple CRM, Indraneel brings with him over 2 decades of experience and expertise in the tech industry. He has always been in the forefront of driving transformative change in the enterprise software solutions, particularly in the realm of AI-powered technologies. In today's session, Amit and I will unravel with him the intricacies of generative AI and the retrieval augmented generation, that's RAG. We will also uncover valuable insights for product managers to drive innovation and deliver exceptional customer experiences using Gen AI in their products. So let us extend a warm welcome to Indraneel. Hey Indraneel, it's so good to have you here. Let's kick off our discussion. Why don't you start sharing something more about Simple CRM and how you harness Gen AI to elevate your solutions?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Shweta. It's a pleasure to be here. So, as Shweta introduced, I have over 2 decades of experience in developing and selling enterprise software solutions in the US and the Asia market. And for the last 10 years, I've been working on driving or designing and selling the customer experience solution. So SimpleWorks Solutions creates and develops customer experience solutions that encompass the entire customer journey. It starts from your lead generation, marketing, customer onboarding, account management, customer service and ticketing, customer loyalty, and creating a customer delight. So to a large extent, we focus on the financial services customers, particularly in banking, insurance, and NBFC areas. And the markets of our focus are South Asia, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa.
Okay.
So over the last let's say 4 to 5 years, the customer experience space has evolved rapidly, and a lot of AI ML capabilities have been incorporated into the customer experience solutions, including solutions like CRM. So before Gen AI, if you look at let's say 5 years ago, or let's say 3 years ago, the solutions that were incorporated by the let's say CRM solutions were, if you look at the sales automation side of the things, right? So the product recommendation engines, machine learning based product recommendation engines, then your customer sentiment analyzers, then also figuring out which leads are going to convert, which are not going to convert. So the way to do that was to train and develop machine learning models based on the customer data or whatever data you have. And this has really picked up pace in the last, let's say, 12 to 18 months, especially with the advent of generative AI. So it has become that much more easy now to generate a recommendation. So, for example, if it's a sales individual, what is the next best action they should be taking to complete or close a deal? If it's a service representative, how should they respond to an irate customer? Or if a customer is sending you an email with his problems, an automatic kind of a email sentiment analyzer or the content extractor, which can create those kind of tickets or cases and then inform relevant people. So all of that has become a lot easier right now. So in today's session, I'll be focusing a little bit more on the one particular aspect of generative AI, which is the retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. So just to give you a quick idea of where it sits in the overall scheme, let me quickly share my screen, and let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, generative AI itself fits into a larger umbrella, which is your AI, and you must have heard a lot of these terms over the last 12 months: foundation models, LLMs, Gen AI. So they are kind of analogous, but there are slight nuances and differences between those terms. So generative AI is a larger umbrella. Within that, you have your foundation models. And within the foundation models, what type of foundation model are your LLMs, large language models? Foundation models, let's say even your DALI, your image generator, that's also a foundation model, but that's not a LLM. Whereas your GPT, then your Llama, which has been released by Facebook or Mixtral, so they are all examples of LLMs, large language models, which form a subset of foundation models. And based on these LLMs, you have multiple applications, LLM-based applications. ChatGPT is an example of that. Similarly, you can also have retrieval augmented generation or RAG-based bots as well. And I'll be talking a little bit more about how at SimpleWorks we have incorporated this LLMs, especially the RAG-based bots, into our solution.
That's
Shweta, should I
great.
continue
So
or?
as I can,
Yeah.
as I understand, these things become more important, or the use of AI becomes more important, especially when you have a wide variety of, endpoints that you have to cater to. Handling customers, with every customer, the interaction is different, the expectations are different. Uh, the way you need to respond is different. So even while automating it, how do you actually personalize the experience using these AI technologies or RAG in particular?
That's a great question actually. Uh, so let me break it into a couple of parts, right? Okay, so when you ask a question on ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure all of our viewers would have used ChatGPT at one point or another. So when you ask a question to ChatGPT, what it is essentially doing is that it has been trained on a certain corpus of data, and it's a public data essentially. So based on whatever it has been made available to it, it will answer your question. But if
Right.
you look at in an enterprise now, let's say if you are an insurance organization, if you are a bank, okay, or so your data is not on public run, okay? So, but you still need to be able to retrieve certain information from your proprietary documents and then construct a personalized message to a customer. Now,
Mhm.
this is not something ChatGPT can do because it can only access your public data. Now, this
Right.
is where retrieval augmented generation or RAG comes into play. So with retrieval augmented generation, you can upload your own personal data on the system, and then it is able to extract that to formulate specific customized responses for the customer. Actually, let me do one thing. I have a very short video that I would like to, maybe a couple of videos that I would like to play, which elaborates this in a much better way. Can I do that?
That would be great. Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, let me just do that again. Okay, great. Okay, so what I'll show is how a GPT powered sales coach can function. Now this sales coach has been implemented in our CRM solution. Okay, so what it does is when it is launched, it takes the information that is available in the CRM, and then
Mm-hmm.
it also looks into the knowledge base of that organization, and then creates this personalized messages for the customers. So just to see that in action, so let's say this is a kind of a leads model with some for a bank, and this lead is for a home loan. Now, as soon as you access the sales coach, okay, it takes this information from the lead. It goes and looks at the bank's products that are available, and it immediately gives the probability of conversion. What are the next best actions it should take? And the sales agent can also converse with this bot and ask, like, what,
Okay.
like, for example, it's asking what are the three risks, okay, which may prevent the lead conversion. And not only that, okay, so if you look at it, they can also converse in multiple
Multilingual.
languages.
Mm.
So this is actually not even a language really. It's like a English kind of a thing, right?
Right.
It's just saying lead ka number batao. So what it is doing is it is this response of the GPT bot in this case is grounded in your enterprise data. It's grounded in this case in the CRM data. Okay, so it's pulling information from your CRM, it's pulling information from your product databases, product documents, product collaterals, and then based on that, it is able to formulate a response.
Okay.
Okay, and similarly, now we are asking it to, let's say, draft a welcome email for this lead. Okay, this is for one of our Philippines customer. So now this is a very personalized message that the bot has been able to generate, okay, which is taking into account the information provided by this particular customer. It is taking into account the preferred language of communication of this customer. Okay, and it's also taking into account a specific interest into home loan and the home loan product that the bank has. So it's combining all of this data points into a personalized message for this customer.
Okay. So tell me one more thing. So like, as one of our viewers, Rashi is asking that can RAG be customized according to specific project needs? Now, depending upon the different products, the system is able to push out notifications or suggestions on what should be put across to the customer, or even drafting a email to the customer. Is it required that you set up various instances for different products, or it caters to everything all at one go? It depends on the data.
So it depends actually on the use case that you are having here. Uh, okay, but so let me take our example. So let's say if we are implementing this RCRM solutions for let's say 3 different banks. In that case, we will be creating a separate instance, a separate RAG instance for each of those banks. Okay, because the data provided by each of these banks is first of all, it's kind of a proprietary and it's unique to that bank. So you don't want the responses when the response is happening, you don't necessarily want the response getting pulled out from some other customer's data.
Right.
Okay, so here you'll have 3 different ones. But let's take another example where we are having a, let's say, this kind of a GPT bot which is going to answer everything that is on RBI website. Okay, so if you
Okay.
look at RBI, there are I don't know, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 different PDF documents or different schemes. Now, if you're deploying such kind of a bot, now the information is kind of common across, or it's applicable to all the banks across India. So that instance can be a single instance. And to answer the first question, uh, like I think the kind of the question I think that was getting asked was how to kind of customize the RAG, right? Okay,
Right.
so now, here's I'll give a little bit of a detailed answer. So if you have, let's say, ChatGPT kind of a solution, like a Gen AI solution, one way to customize it is to fine tune the model with your own data. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So let's say an organization has a corpus of 10,000 documents. And what it can do is it can take the base model. Now, the base model could be from, let's say, OpenAI or Llama 2 or whichever, and then it can retrain it. It can retrain the top layer, so it can fine tune that model for their own specific 10,000 documents.
Okay.
Now, in this case, the bot will be able to answer based on the documents it has been trained on. Okay, so this is one way to do it. And now, the problem with this approach is that your knowledge base kind of keeps on increasing. Your data actually is dynamic. Okay, you constantly generate more data, and you cannot really go and try to retrain your bot again and again with
Again
your
and
data,
again.
right?
Yeah.
Because it is
Right.
expensive. It is expensive. It's not cheap to retrain or fine tune this kind of LLMs. But that's one way to do it, fine tuning. Okay. The other way to do it is use this retrieval augmented generation, this approach. Now, in this approach, you essentially just upload your documents, okay, on the bot platform, and that's it. That's all that is required. So let me do one thing. I'll very quickly play one video which shows this concept of how the documents are uploaded and how you train the RAG, and then I'll give a little bit of a finer details on what is happening internally.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. Okay, so let me play this one. So this is a screen where you are simply uploading the documents on the bot platform. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Okay, you have uploaded a document, asked it to generate an index, and within a few seconds, the bot is already trained. Okay, and it's ready to answer the any questions regarding the information that is available in the documents that you have uploaded.
Okay.
Okay, so and it not only reproduces the information that is there in the documents you have uploaded, but it digests that information and can actually present its analysis as well. Okay, so for example, let's say it's a wealth management company, and they have, or insurance company, and they have uploaded their documents or different products, okay, in the RAG. So you can simply ask it, okay, given all the information that you have, which product, okay, which insurance policy, which investment policy would be suitable for, let's say, a 30-year-old self-employed business individual with certain risk tolerance and certain income, right, annual income. So based on that, it can extract that information and suggest those products that can be pitched to this kind of a customer. It
Got
can
it. Got it.
also, now what it is generating is a tabular data. Now this tabular data does not exist in the documents that have been uploaded, but it
Hmm.
is able to analyze that information and generate and consolidate and calculate certain information and present it to the user. Now what has happened here
Okay.
is,
So it's
yeah, sorry, go on. Uh,
that's it. So it's a combination. So while LLM formulates how things have to be put across basis the information, the generic information it has, RAG helps to give the specifics and set context to the entire discussion.
Correct, correct. So yeah, that it essentially does that. So for example, let me just do one more example I'll give you, and then I think that. Okay, so in this case, right? So these are we are using it, a version of it internally also. As a product company, we get questions from the customers and sales teams on, does your product do this? How does it handle security and what encryptions and whatnot? So what we have done is we have just gone ahead and uploaded all these documents on the bot platform, and based on it, it is able to answer questions. So
Okay.
when you are uploading the documents on this bot platform, okay, so when you are uploading these documents on the bot platform, what it does is and if there are technical people also on this call, it essentially creates embeddings, and it stores that information in a vector store. And when the user is making a query, when the user is asking a question, it is first doing the retrieval. Okay, so it's retrieval augmented generation. So the very first thing it does is retrieves the pieces of information that is available in the documents that you have uploaded. So for example, I could have uploaded, let's say, 10,000 documents, and I'm asking a query. So it says, okay, you know what? The answer to the user's query probably lies into these 7 different documents and in these paragraphs. So
Hmm.
it takes those paragraphs, okay, retrieves those paragraphs. It also takes the user's query and then sends it to the generation or the generative component of the system. So the generative component says, okay, yeah, this is the user query. I understand that. And now you have also given me the snippets of information from where the answer, like wherein the answer lies. So it just goes into that snippet of information and generates the answer based on that. So now
Okay.
one might say, right? So you could also give this information. So if you're looking at, let's say, ChatGPT, for example, right? So now ChatGPT supports, let's say, 16,000 tokens. Okay, maybe that's really, approximately maybe 12,000 words. Okay, or it may even increase to 32K or whichever, right? Now, you could give information as a context on a chat GPT directly, okay, but there is a limit to the context. Okay, it may work if you have maybe 5, 10 documents, but in a scaled production setup, you could have thousands of documents. So you
Hmm.
cannot really put the entire context in something like chat GPT and expect it to answer. Hence the RAG part. So it doesn't really pass that entire concept or the context into the generative component. It just extracts the relevant information. It retrieves the relevant
Right.
information
Right.
and then sends it to the generative component.
Right. So how do you ensure the accuracy, of the assessments, or how do you ensure that it's picking up the right snippets?
That's actually a big topic by itself, and that's again a very relevant question here. For RAG to produce accurate or correct results, the retrieval part is very important. Generation part, okay, comparatively is simple in the sense that generative part already knows what the information is, and it just needs to compile that
Hmm.
answer or response. But retrieval is the key here. Okay, so there are various strategies that are applied that can be used. Uh, uh, okay, but to a large extent, I mean, it's a kind of a solved problem to a large extent. So, for example, if you're storing your vector indexes in this new kind of vector databases like ChromaDB or Pinecone, so to a large extent, that retrieval part becomes easy. Okay, there are still some tweaks that you need to do for it to kind of get the right information. But to a large extent, that's kind of a solved kind of a problem.
That's great. I will just, in the meanwhile, go through the questions that are being, put across. We can take a couple of them and then resume our discussions.
Sure.
So one such question here is that are there any specific challenges or considerations when implementing AI RAG systems in product management?
Yeah, see, like any kind of a product development cycle, right? So prototyping is always easy. Let's say if you want to have build a RAG based kind of a prototype for yourself, maybe it is something you can do in within a week. Okay, and you can actually it's demoable. You can demo it. Okay, if you ask questions, it'll answer and all that, right? So, but it follows that at your Pareto principle, okay? To get to the demo stage or the POC stage, okay, it takes maybe just 20% of the effort. The remaining 80% of the effort is required to make it production ready. Because when you talk of taking something from a POC or prototype stage to a production ready stage, okay, on the user interface, nothing may change, but internally, a lot of things have to be handled. So one of the aspects that you have to handle is, let's say, the security aspects of it. Okay, because depending on which industries you are serving, the security becomes paramount to a very varying amounts of degrees. Actually, everywhere security is paramount these days, right?
Right.
So the information that you are sending to the generative component, okay, so if you're a bank or if you're a hospital, okay, you do not want to send the PII data, which is personally identifiable information. Okay, you somehow have to strip that information out, okay, from the retrieved information before it gets sent to the generative component, because a lot of times you may be using the generative component of a third party, like let's say OpenAI. So okay, so that's one part of it, the security aspects of it. And then the other aspects are whatever information you are storing as a vector databases, it has to be encrypted. It has to be encrypted at rest. It has to be encrypted in transit. Okay, those
Mm.
aspects come in. You have to filter out the PII data before it gets sent out. So security is one big aspect, and a lot of consideration, a lot of work has to be done to make it kind of a foolproof. Then you also need to go through your VAPT, okay, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing exercises, third-party audits to ensure that your solution is really kind of foolproof and it's production ready. Another important aspect to consider is the scalability part of it. Okay, prototype may work well for 5 to 10 documents, but for it to work reliably for 10,000 or 50,000 documents in the RAG database, right? So those are different kind of considerations altogether. So you do require a lot of scalability and performance tuning. You do require to do a lot of load testing here. Okay, so that it's truly able to handle the production load. And lastly, especially in this generative AI technologies, right? And probably a lot of you would have heard of this term hallucinations. Okay,
Right.
it's there in the nature of how the current versions of let's say the GPT technology is working. Okay, and that the number is reducing, the percentage of hallucinations is reducing, but still there. Now, that is a very dangerous thing to have in a production environment, because if the response is being made up, okay, it's actually giving you it's making up a response, and you're going to use it in the decision making process. Okay, that defeats the entire purpose of having these kind of solutions. So that is also where the retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, solves that problem. Okay, to a very large extent.
Comes
So
into
while
picture.
your chat GPT might hallucinate, okay, there are the chances of a RAG-based system hallucinating is very minimal, because you force it to answer based on the information snippets that you yourself are providing to it. You are not relying on it to remember something from its training and answer or make up something. Okay, you're saying, okay, you know what, this is the question, but don't try to use your own knowledge. Okay, go and look up the answer in the snippets that I'm providing to you. So that yeah, so basically that reliability of the responses is also important, and the RAG to a large extent solves it automatically, but there also you need to do a little bit of a tuning to make sure that the responses are always accurate.
Right, right, right. So, are there any understanding this is emerging technology, and there it's still in experimentation phases at many places in many use cases. Are there already any standards or specifications, guidelines that are laid down, with respect to data preparation or retrieval, that one needs to follow, or security for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, most of the industries already have the security guidelines there. So if you are looking at, let's say, especially if you are looking at the financial services industry, where the security and the security compliance is actually the most stringent. So the guidelines are already there. In India, for example, if you're doing something for banks, then your solution has to be, let's say, MeitY compliant. So there is a guideline from the ministry there. So your data residency should be in India. Okay, it should not be outside
Yeah.
India. So okay, and then there are certain kinds of encryptions you should be using. So to a large extent, those guidelines are there not only for the generative technologies, but they are there for all the enterprise technologies. So the same kind of guidelines can be used, okay, for these solutions as well.
Okay, so one of our audience is asking the question, what data sources that does RAG utilize to inform product management decisions?
Okay, see, when you say data sources, it can either be, okay, so it can be your file system, okay, it can read the PDF documents, your Word documents, to an extent Excel or a CSV documents. Okay, you can also modify it to read kind of your images as well, okay, images which have, when I say images, I mean images or scanned, let's say you have a scanned copy of someone's passport, for example, right? So it can do OCR, it can extract information from scanned documents as well. So that's one type of information it can leverage. But it can also connect to your RDBMS databases also. Okay, so you can also so for one of the customers, what we have done is we have created a text to query kind of a rack system. So it essentially, whatever the customer is typing in plain
Okay.
English, it converts into a SQL query. It fires at the database level. It retrieves that information, and then it passes that information to the generative component, which then provides or kind of generates a relevant response for the customer. So your data sources can be varied. I mean,
So does that mean that, yeah. No, please continue.
sure, sure. So it works pretty well, and like you said, right? It's an emerging technology, so it works pretty well with the PDF documents. It will work pretty well with the Word documents also. But especially for tabular data, I mean, with the current technology, right? Getting very accurate results from a tabular data, okay? You need to be a little bit careful. You need to test your system very carefully to ensure that it is indeed giving you right information from tabular data. For example, let's say uh, let's say if I upload my bank statement, okay, on this, and I say, okay, you know what, go and sum up all the expenses more than 50,000 for the past 6 months. Now the information is there in the tabular format, but sometimes it doesn't produce the right calculation there. So that's one of the kind of things. I would like to, somebody's planning to experiment with it. That's something that you have to be a little bit careful about.
Right, right. So does that mean when you talk about using tabular data, it is possible to supply or to provide dynamic data, or automatically allowing more data to be available as and when it's put across in that table or in the database? So let's say for for a customer onboarding platform, as and when a new customer is onboarded, the data is automatically available to the RAG system without someone actually intervening.
Uh, yes. So if you're connecting it to a database as your source, then yes, because in this case, essentially what happens is that it's primarily doing your text to kind of a query, and it is actually
Hmm.
going and hitting the database to pull that information and then passing it to the generative component. So whatever information database has at any point of time, it will utilize that information and form the response. Whereas if your data sources are documents, okay, see, if you're connecting to a database already has the information in a structured format. Okay,
Right.
that's actually pretty easy to retrieve that information directly from the traditional databases, right? You can directly get that from a traditional database. You don't necessarily require a vector index there, because your traditional databases already allow you all kinds of indexing to get do rapid searches and extract that information. So if a data source is database, it's actually an easier thing to do, and you'll always get the information that is available in the database at that point of time. If your data sources are documents, then whatever documents are available, it will answer based on that. And the way I was showing you, right, the document uploading of the document and the bot getting trained on it, that process is very simple. It takes for example, let's say I upload a document which has a 50-page PDF document, right? Some prospectus I have, or maybe some AGM document I've uploaded. So it will probably take maybe 8 to 10 seconds for it to ingest that document and vectorize it. And then it's ready for user queries.
Got it. So, would you also be able to give an example of how RAG is used in real life product management scenarios? So, I guess it's more probably to do with how it has to be implemented for other products as well.
Uh, so, is that a user query, by the way?
Yes, it is a user query.
Uh, okay, if that person could kind of elaborate that question a little bit. Okay, which aspects of product management are we talking about here? So I can give a more kind of a pointed response. We can go to the next question while probably that
Okay.
user
Yeah. Okay.
viewer
So
can.
while yes, yes. So while we wait for him to update, what are the primary, one or two basic or biggest challenges or shortcomings, that are faced while implementing RAG?
There are okay, so there are no shortcomings as such, and the challenges are the journey that I was talking about, from prototyping to production ready solution, right? So that journey, that's where all the challenges come up. As I was saying, how to solve your accuracy challenge, uh, how to ensure it doesn't hallucinate, how to ensure that the data is always secure and you are actually it's compliant with all the various guidelines that are there. How to make it a scalable system. So the challenges are more on that aspect, and the challenges are not so much on the rack system itself. The challenges are more on how to make it production ready.
So how to implement it in real life and
Real life
factor for
scenario.
the
Yes,
unknowns and
correct.
the aspects that could influence. So any recommendations or any advice that you would like to give to the AI product guys, how to effectively use RAG for their products or to enhance the capability of their AI products?
Sure. So, I mean, depending on the product, so I gave some examples from the CRM perspective,
Yeah.
how it can. like the next best actions, the winning probabilities, okay, or from a service management, service automation perspective, it can say what is it can be a training guide also, right, for the service agent. So given a customer ticket or issue, it can actually suggest what information this service agent should collect from the customer, how they should respond to the customer. Similar use cases you can have if you are having, let's say, ERP kind of a system, enterprise resource planning system. Okay, if you are having, let's say, HRMS solution, right, HR and recruitment solution. Now, one use case that I can kind of think of is, let's say you have a HRMS solution and you are using it for recruitment. So whatever candidates are actually applying for your position, so that information is coming into your HRMS system along with their resumes. Okay, so a RAG kind of a system can do that auto analysis for you. So let's say you can actually say, okay, this is my ideal candidate. This is what kind of experience this person should have, number of years and education qualification. So this is something you will give in a prompt, and it can go and analyze all the resumes that you have collected, and then from that it can pick up the resumes, okay, that match your recruitment criteria. So the initial screening that we do, right, HR person has to do the initial screening, so that process can be automated via a RAG based system. And same thing on the ERP system or the material resource planning systems also, you can have similar use cases there.
I think these
Another,
implementations are already in place, and there are, yeah, please continue.
yeah, yeah. So from the like, since we are a product company, another way in which we are using it internally also is, okay. So for example, how do I code this? Okay, so we use a specific technology for our product, right? So we have created this how-to documents, and we have uploaded that into our RAG system. We call it Aryabot, by
Okay.
the way, based on Aryabhat. So it's just a play on the words Aryabot.
Ah,
Uh, so what it does is, any new developers we are hiring, any new business analysts that we are hiring, they can actually query, okay, how do I accomplish this? This is the requirement from the customer. How do I accomplish this? And it gives you a step-by-step guide on, okay, where to go in the system, what to modify to get the desired output. So that's another way in which it can be used for the product development companies as well.
so I think depending upon the use case, RAG does have a variety of applications, and it can actually solve for many problems where, a human otherwise would need to sit and browse through a lot of things. Um, at the same time, it can also improve customer experience to a great extent by giving them personalized inputs and suggestions.
True.
Well, yes. So apart from that, any specific tip on implementing RAG? As we move towards the end of this session, a few end notes from your side would be appreciated.
There is actually a lot of content out there. A lot of articles are there. You will find on that towardsdatascience.com or medium.com. And there are lots of RAG enthusiasts, okay, who keep posting the what has worked for them, what has not worked for them. So you really have to try it out and build something. And then after that, once you have a prototype, which actually should not take you any time at all. It's like if you have a technical bent, then it doesn't take long at all to have a prototype ready. And once you have that, then your long journey starts of making it production ready. But
Yeah,
you have to go through that
prototyping is just the
experience.
beginning.
Beginning, yes.
That's true. In fact, the entire concept of RAG, thanks to you, has been simplified in this half an hour and put across in a very easy to understand manner. I hope the viewers, the audiences found it really useful. And any more questions, we can definitely take up. We have 5 more minutes to our disposal.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, just something that you mentioned, right? So yes, one use of it is on the enabling customer self-service as well. So chatbot, we already have had chatbot since I don't know, maybe 5 to 8 years, since 5 to 8 years, right? But with this RAG-based systems, you actually can take it to the next level. Okay, who is querying the this kind of a RAG-based system, it doesn't necessarily have to be your internal users. It could be your customers as well, and it can actually digest a lot of information and give them very relevant answers to the queries. So as a customer self-service, also it has a lot of use.
Even in fact, I can find a lot of use cases even as we talk, integrated with WhatsApp and, maybe a few other payment apps, what kind of spends I do,
Yeah,
prompting me to, maybe track my expenses or highlight something which is on sale, or, something of my need. I can do all of that. It becomes very easy for a company to push those, promotional marketing stuff also.
yeah,
At the same time, maybe for a organization like a bank, integrating this into its fraud management systems, identifying the customer behaviors, plugging into the other social media channels, it can actually get a variety of data on which it can assess the credibility of its customers.
yeah. That's true. Yeah, you
So
can
this,
actually define
I,
your like you can actually define your credit scoring kind of a rules, and based on that,
yes,
it can actually generate a response. Or if you are an insurance company, you have that financial needs analysis (FNA), right? So based on
hmm.
or other demographic details, they have certain products that they recommend. Even that process also can be automated through this kind of systems.
Yeah. In fact, it can suggest the, next steps. It can suggest an assessment also, which of course a human would be required in the end to take the final call. But the
Yeah,
initial assessment and actually checking through a lot of information which might be otherwise, skipped by
yeah.
the person, that's taken care of. So
True.
a long,
So yeah,
long way
you're
to
right. It's
go.
not a replacement as such, but even if it's able to automate 70% or 75% of what is manual right now, that's good enough.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, that is a very informative session that we had today, Indraneel. Thank you so much for sparing
It has
some
been a
time and
pleasure.
joining here. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being here and being a part of this AMA session. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you benefited from it. Let's connect next time for another exciting session on Thinkly. Have a good day, all of you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Bye bye.